Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing fine today. It's 8:14 in the morning, and I have to attend this meeting. But before anything else, let me check first: is my audio, video, and slide visible and clear on your end?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. If all are good and you are also good now, then let us start with our lesson for today. So today we are going to learn about question tags. But unlike the usual lesson discussion we are used to, this time as we subscribe to inductive approach, we are going to start from activities, from grammar rules and context analysis before proceeding to the formal lesson proper. To start, let me show you our special characters for today. They are Angel and Charles. So in this meeting, allow me to use your name to encourage your engagement and to make our lesson more relatable to us, to you. So here we have some descriptions about you, and I want you to read the sentences that will flash on your screen. Let's start with Mr. Charles.
You are EDUC students.
Okay, next. Miss Angel, can you read the second statement?
You are a, you are freshman.
Okay. Next, Charles.
You can speak in Mandarin.
Next.
You haven't taken the course Results, Life, and Works yet.
And the last one.
You don't really talk a lot.
Okay, so now from what you've read, can you turn those statements into questions? Okay, Angel, can you turn the first statement into question?
Yes, sir. Are you EDUC students?
Okay, right, that's right. Next one, let's have Charles.
Are you freshmen?
Okay, good. For the third statement, let's have Angel, Miss Angel again.
Can you speak in Mandarin?
Okay, good. For the fourth sentence, Charles.
Haven't you taken the course Results and Life and Works yet?
Okay, nice. And for the last one, let's have Angel.
Don't you really talk a lot?
Okay, so all your answers are correct, but let me show you another way to turn these statements into question. So here we have our original statement. So from you are adult students, we have now you are adult students, aren't you? For the second sentence, we have you are freshmen, and now we turn this into you are freshmen, aren't you? Next one, from you can speak Mandarin, we have now you can speak in Mandarin, can't you? For the next one, you haven't taken the course Results, Life, and Works yet. We have now you haven't taken the course Results, Life, and Works, have you? And for the last one, from you don't really talk a lot, we have now you don't really talk a lot, do you? Okay. So now from this set of questions we have in the right side of our slide, what did you notice, class? Yes, John Charles?
Um, the construction of the sentence we have now on the slide is different compared to the questions that we made earlier because upon my observation, there is now a mini question on the end of our sentence.
That was a good observation to start, Mr. Charles. So, ladies and gentlemen, um, those mini questions that you notice that are being added at the end of each statement is what we call question tags. For now, it is enough to know the term that is used to refer to them. Now to continue, taking quite a leap, let us observe this set of questions closely. What I want you to do is to observe them, to look at them more closely. Try to see patterns. What do you think are is the rule that we can induce in this set of questions? So for that, I'll be giving you a minute to reflect, to observe the set of questions we have. Hello, class. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, can I hear your observation, Miss Angel?
Yes, sir. What I've observed in the sentences or the questions, I observed that the verbs and the subjects are what uh, we will use in the mini questions in the end. And if the verbs are positive, then it will be negative in the mini questions with the use of not, sir.
Okay, that's right. So, your observation is what have you observed is that the verb in the statement and in the question tags are opposite, right? So yeah, that is right. In this set of questions, you were able to pinpoint that there are difference in terms of the verb that we use in the statement and in the verb that we have in the question tag. It seems like when we have a positive statement, we have a question tag, and vice versa, and that we determine we whether the statement or the question tag is positive or negative based on the our verbs. So again, your observations were good, but as early as now, what I want you to do is to just keep your observation to yourself, because later on, as we formally proceed to lesson proper, we will find out if your observation. That's where we will find out whether your observations are correct. So now, what we just need to do is to just draw conclusions, is to just keep analyzing the sentence being presented in our slide. So now to continue, let's have again this set of questions. But this time, what I want you to do is to just focus in the in those words that are underlined. So just like what we did in the first slide or in the previous slides, what I want you to do is to observe this set of questions closely. Try to see patterns or try to induce a rule that is present in this set of questions. So I'll be giving you another 1 minute to observe, to reflect, to analyze what are the rules present in this set of questions. Hello.
Yes po,
And-
sir.
Okay, now let's continue. May I hear your observation, Mr. Charles?
Um, upon observing, all the underlined words are identical to each other. So, for example, in the first sentence, the underlined words are similar to each other. So, therefore, I can conclude that um, the subject being used on the first part of the sentence will will not be changed and will only be copied on the question tag.
Okay, nice observation. So in this set of questions, you were able um of to find out that there are there is uh, a relationship between the subject in the statement and the subject pronoun we have in the question tag. So just like what I said earlier, what I want you to do is to just keep your conclusions, your observations to yourself. Later we will unveil or we will um, reveal whether your conclusions are correct or not. So to continue, let us now try to determine the functions of a question tag. And by doing that, let's have a context or a story. So in our story, of course, we have again our characters, which is the two of you, Angel and Charles. But this time, I am now included. And so that is me, Aaron. And another character, let's call him Leon. She's another character that we are going to use in the context. Okay, so let's first have background about our story. So in our context, we study in the same school, which is Bulacan State University. We have different courses and field of specialization. The two of you are EdUc students. Leon, on the other hand, is a public administration student. And lastly, suppose I am a journalism student. Leon is our mutual friend in this story, and we do not meet and know each other yet. Okay, let's continue the story. Okay, we do not meet and know each other yet until one day during recess time, Leon happened to see the two of you in the school cafeteria and eventually invite you to join him at the table and have usual chit chats. Later, I also went to our school cafeteria. Leon happened to see me, and so he eventually called me to join with you as well. So that's the first time we meet. Now, since this is the first time we meet, I don't know about you at all. But since I can see you, I can at least make an assumptions about what or who you are, who the two of you are, based on what I see and observe with you. So I look and observe quietly. First, I noticed that you seem intelligent in your outward appearance. So the first thing that came to my mind was maybe you are adult students. But that was just an assumptions only. Okay, so to know if my first assumption about you is true, I later ask you. So in this part, what I want you to do is to just answer my question in the form of question tag. Just answer whether it is true or not about you. And at the same time, try to start induce or to start figuring out what is my purpose. What is do you think is the function of question tags that I demonstrate in this context? So again, to know if my first assumption about you is true, I later ask you. You are adult students, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Now let's continue. Later, my eyes then get focused with your face. I observed that you seem fresh, has a smooth face, and shiny cheeks. Angel wears a well-balanced makeup while Charles has a neat hairstyle. From that, I finally assume that maybe you are a freshman because freshmen like to beautify themselves and are always particular with their outside appearance. So to know if my second assumption is true about you, I later ask you, you are freshmen, aren't you?
No, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Nice. Lastly, during the tea chats, I and Leon suddenly bring up and talk about the course results, life, and works that we both currently taking among other courses this semester. We shared our thoughts, struggles, and sentiments about the course, but later I noticed that the two of you looked confused, barely talking and sharing your ideas about our topic and just giving us some smiles here. From that expression and behaviors I observed from you, I eventually became somewhat guilty and feel like I make you feel out of place in the conversation. From that, I then finally realized that maybe we are not on the same page. That maybe you haven't taken the course Results, Life, and Works yet. That is why you became quiet and looked confused when I and Dion began talking about that. And so, to know if my assumption is true, I finally asked you. You haven't taken the course Results, Life, and Works yet, have you?
Yes, I don't. Yes, I haven't, rather.
Yes, I haven't, yes.
Yes, I haven't.
Okay, that is right. So, to end the story, our story, at last I apologize for the matter. We had instead talked about things that are relatable to one another. We get to know one another, and when the recess time is over, we finally leave the school cafeteria and come back to our respective section room. So, that is our story. That is our context to build on and to introduce the function of question tags. Now, from what we did during the story, the question and answer portion, what do you think is the function of question tag that I demonstrate to you? Yes, Miss. Yes, Mr. Charles.
Um, Based on the story that we have heard just moments ago, there is always some sort of assumption in terms of us. So I think that the function of the question tags in the story is that you are confirming something from your assumptions.
Okay, that's a great answer. That is actually correct. So, okay, Miss Angel, do
Sir,
you have any answer?
yes, sir. I've also had an observation based on the
Okay,
story time. Um, in the question, uh, he seems that it ask many questions because he wants to, yeah, confirm something and to find out some answers and obtain some information from the person he is talking to.
okay, that's you are correct, Miss Angel. So in our story time, in the context that we use here, you were able to figure out or to induce that the function of question tag that I demonstrate is that I use question tag to confirm something. I commend all your observations, analysis in our activities in this story time that we had. Um, I saw that you have somewhat a good observation, conclusion, and also in the activity that we had earlier, I also noticed that you have some prior knowledge. Now to finally figure out whether your conclusions, your observations, and are correct, let us now proceed to our formal discussion of our topic. Okay, so first let us define what is question tags. So the exact working definition that we have for question tag is that it is a mini question that is being added, attached, or tagged, quote unquote, tagged to the end of a statement, thus turning statement into questions. Next. Okay, so to form question tag, we need auxiliary verb plus subject pronoun. Okay, so now let us know more about auxiliary verb and subject pronoun. First, let us define auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb is used with the main verb to help express the main verb's tense, mood, or voice. Under auxiliary verb, we have four types of verbs: verb to be, verb to have, verb to do, and modal verbs. For verb to be, we have is, are, was, were, and the negatives: isn't, aren't, wasn't, and weren't. For verb to have, we have has, have, had, and its negative counterparts. We have hasn't, haven't, and hadn't. For the verb to do, we have do, does, and did, and their negative counterparts: don't, doesn't, and didn't. And lastly, for modal verbs, we have can, will, should, must, and the list can go on, and their negative counterparts. On the other hand, for the subject pronoun, as per definition, subject pronoun is a pronoun that can fill in for a noun as the subject of a sentence or clause. So for the subject pronoun, we have the so for the first person singular and plural, we have I and we. For the second person singular and plural, we have only you. And lastly, for the third person singular and plural subject pronoun, we have he, she, it, and they. Okay, so in our set of questions, here all of the phrases that are highlighted or that is in the color red is actually the question tags are actually the question tags that is consists of auxiliary verbs and a subject pronoun. In our first sentence, you are edX students, aren't you? Our question tag is aren't you, where aren't is our auxiliary verb and you is the subject pronoun. For the second sentence, you are freshmen, aren't you? It's the same. We have aren't you as our question tag, wherein aren't is the auxiliary verb and you is the subject, is our subject pronoun. And the thing and the same goes for the following sentences. Now let's proceed to basic rules of question tag. So actually, this is where we are going to figure out whether your conclusions are correct about the rules of question tag that we did earlier. So rule number one has something to do with the statement plus tag. The rule is a positive statement should take negative tag, while or a negative statement, that is just a typographical error. A negative statement should take positive tag. And in order for us to determine whether the statement or the question tag is positive or negative, we just have to look at our verb, because indeed, verb is our indicator whether a statement or the question is positive or negative. So actually, the conclusions that you had earlier were correct. That the first rule in question tag is has something to do with the pattern positive, negative, and negative, positive. Just like what we have in this set of questions. You are adult students, aren't you? We have here a positive statement because we have there a verb are. And then on the other hand, in the question tag, we have aren't you, and it is a negative question tag because we have here a negative verb aren't. So, and the same goes for the following um, um, question tags or set of questions with in the form of question tag. So let class, you just have to remember that the first rule in question tag has something to do with the statement and the tag that they should always be of opposite sign, that when we have positive statement we should have take negative and vice versa. Okay, for the second rule, it has something to do with the subject in the statement and the pronoun in question tag. So the exact rule is the says that the pronoun in the tag should match or refer back to the subject in the statement. So again, actually your conclusion or your observation earlier were correct, that there is a correlation, a relationship between the subject in the statement and the subject pronoun in the question tag. That in our cases, in our set of question, we have you in the you subject in the statement, and we have the same you in the subject pronoun. So here we can clearly see that um, the pronoun, the subject, I mean the subject in the statement and the subject pronoun in the question tags matches, and they are just the same. Okay, so now let us know more about the functions of question tag. So there are at least five functions of question tag, but in this lesson discussions that we have, in order for our lesson to be less overwhelming, I decided to just present to you the two most common functions of question tags, and that is number one, confirmatory, and number two, exclamatory. Okay. So for exclamatory, we use question tags to elicit affirmation. I really mean that it's so hot today. So in X, when we use question tag with its exclamatory function, we just simply want to elicit affirmation. We invite someone to agree with what we are saying. We first make a generalized comment about something, and we just want someone to agree with what we are saying. Like for example, it's so hot today, isn't it? I really mean that it's so hot today, that it's obvious that it's so hot today. And what I want you to respond is just to say yes, and I don't require you to have a negative or another response. So that's the exclamatory function of question tag. While on the other hand, the second most common function of question tag is confirmatory. So we use question tags to elicit confirmation. For example, we got the calculator from my desk, didn't you? Okay, so for confirmatory, just like what we have in the example, you got the calculator from my desk, didn't you? I suspect you did. That is why I'm asking. I have first an assumptions that you do something, but I am not sure. I am unsure whether it is true or not about you. That is why I have to ask you to obtain a confirmation whether it is true or not about you. So actually, the set of questions that we are dealing earlier, it presents or expresses a confirmatory function of question tag. Okay, so this is where our lesson discussion ends. Now, to if you do really understand our lesson discussion for today, let's have an activity to assess whether you really grasp the our lesson well. So for this for in this part, let's have an oral activity. So what I want you to do is to make an assumptions about your classmate and turn it into questions in the form of question tag. Angel will make question, and later on you will ask that questions for Charles to answer, and on the same way, John Charles will make questions for you. for Angel, and then you have to answer it. So for this activity, I want you to make five assumptions each of you five assumptions, and you are going to ask that later. I'll be giving you 3 minutes to construct your questions. So your timer starts now.
So, sir,
Hello. Are you through in constructing your questions from that you were going to ask to each other?
yes po, we're ready.
Yes
Okay.
po.
So if that is so, then let us start. Let's start with Angel. Angel, you may now ask your assumptive questions to John Charles.
Okay, sir. So, Charles, here are my questions. You are a K-pop stan, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You are 20 years old, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
You don't like English, do you?
No, I do.
You are not a biker, are are you?
No, I am.
And lastly, you are a former UM student, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
That's all,
Okay,
sir.
so now, John Charles, it is now your turn to ask your questions to Angel Ocampo.
Okay, sir. So these are my questions for you, Angel. Um, you do like black, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Second question is, you are drinking coffee, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
My third question is, you are from Pulilan, aren't you?
No, I am not.
My fourth question is, you can't draw, can you?
No, I can't.
You don't like cockroaches, do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, job well done, class. So in this activity, I am happy to see that you are able to use question tags into practice. And so what I want you to do is what I want to advise you na lang is to keep practicing, or keep and then turn and make using it into practice. At last, I want to ask you if you have any questions, clarifications regarding our lesson for today.
None
None?
po.
Okay, if that is so, then this ends our lesson discussion. Thank you for listening. And I hope you learned something, or you learned a lot from our lesson for today. So this is the end of our class for today. The class is now over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much po.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.